Unit 6, Lesson 2, Assertiveness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conflict Resolution and Peacemaking, the class that teaches you how to manage interpersonal conflict and drama for yourself and others. I'm your instructor, David Lowry. In our last podcast, we discussed the various components of anger. We mentioned that anger is one of 6 primary emotions and is necessary to let us know when we don't like something or need to change something. Our goal is never to allow our anger to turn to aggression, which we define as a willingness to hurt or harm another. Here's a helpful peacemaking tip. We briefly mentioned that anger could be used instrumentally or strategically to achieve a goal, and we'd like to speak briefly about that point. Some people believe anger is a good negotiation strategy, but is it? Is anger a good negotiation strategy? Much study has been done about the role of emotions in the negotiation process. Some negotiators believe that anger should be used like any other bargaining tool, such as exaggeration, concealment, and the like. They advocate the strategic use of it to the degree that it would favorably impact a desired negotiation outcome. But researchers are finding that anger, in and of itself, is not particularly useful in bargaining. Findings indicate that anger increases the likelihood of retaliation and sabotage, and ultimately the lack of a successful resolution. So the next time you feel tempted to use anger to get what you want, especially in a professional setting, you would do well to remember that it isn't a particularly effective tool and it may cause you more harm than good. In today's podcast, we will examine the role of assertiveness, which we peacemakers believe is an effective tool for managing conflicts. We see it as a progressive way of channeling anger into something more useful. What is assertiveness? Thompson and Barenbaum defined assertiveness as actively responding to interpersonal conflict to get one's needs met. Assertiveness is composed of 3 main aspects. It's composed of best self-interest, or the ability to assess what's worth your attention, and 2, saying what you think while not hurting other people, and 3, a respect for laws, which means you express your opinions without hurting others' rights. Assertive peacemakers. When people think of assertive behavior, they sometimes think of it as an aggressive expression of one's desire for dominance and control. And this is understandable because there's much research and psychological literature supporting this concept. However, it needn't be this way. As peacemakers, we're not talking about aggressive assertiveness. Instead, we advocate for adaptive assertiveness. And this is where one's needs are appropriately met without violating the rights of others. We believe one can be assertive without being coercive or unnecessarily offensive. We think you can clearly state your wants and needs without claiming that you speak for everyone. The adaptive assertiveness we advocate allows you to communicate your views without forcing your belief on others. One can be assertive without resorting to unkind expressions or brutal honesty. As you can see, an assertive peacemaker is no pushover. They stand up and speak out for their rights, wants, and needs, even though it may cause others to feel uncomfortable or embarrassed. At the same time, an assertive peacemaker speaks with gentleness and respect. The goal of the assertiveness we advocate is to stand up for one's rights, wants, and needs in a way that doesn't trample on the rights of others. 2 worthy books on assertiveness. Noted psychologists Herbert Fensterheim and Baer offer several guidelines to help people understand the difference between appropriate assertiveness versus aggression. These guidelines were adapted from Fensterheim's and Baer's best-selling classic book on assertiveness, Don't Say Yes When You Want to Say No. The book offers many guidelines and exercises for developing personal assertiveness. Here are 5 of their recommendations. Number 1, recognize and exercise your rights, because if you don't, others will define your role. Number 2, you have the right to do what you want if it doesn't hurt anyone else. Number 3, you have the right to preserve your dignity, even if it hurts someone else, provided your intentions are not aggressive but assertive. Number 4, You have the right to make requests of others if you acknowledge that others have the right to refuse them. And last, when situations and rules between people are unclear, you have the right to discuss and clarify matters. Another best-selling book is When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. It's written by Manuel Smith. We like his 10 assertive rights. Many people find them very revealing when they hear them for the first time. Number 1, you have the right to judge your own behavior, thoughts, and emotions, and to take responsibility for their initiation and consequences. 2, you have the right to offer no reasons or excuses for justifying your behavior. Number 3, you have the right to judge if you are responsible for finding solutions to other people's problems. Number 4, you have the right to change your mind. Number 5, you have the right to make mistakes and be responsible for them. Number 6, you have the right to say, I don't know. Number 7, you have the right to be independent of the goodwill of others before coping with them. Number 8, you have the right to be illogical in making decisions. Number 9, you have the right to say, I don't care. And last, you have the right to say, I don't understand. Smith's book discusses each of these rights and offers techniques for developing one's assertiveness skills. Stay centered with adaptable assertiveness. Peacemakers are assertive people, but we use our assertiveness for a reason. It helps us remain centered in challenging situations. Instead of attacking or running away, we use our adaptive assertiveness to state our wants and needs. And because we combine assertiveness with relational communication and a cooperative attitude, we can balance our needs with those of others. In relational communication, we understand that conflict situations are not one-way streets where one person gets all of their wants and needs met at the expense of another. We believe it's possible to be both assertive, yet polite, humble, and respectful. Know your wants and needs. We conclude our discussion of assertiveness by stating that to be effectively assertive, one must be clear about what they want and what their needs are. We believe it can be helpful to formulate a clear statement about wants and needs before meeting with someone. It should be clear, concise, and used as often as necessary until that cooperative moment arrives when all concerned can come to a mutually beneficial situation. Here are some statements to illustrate wants and needs. I need you to acknowledge that my car was damaged while it was in your care and that you will make the necessary repairs. I need you to show me respect when we are with our friends and never make jokes at my expense or put me down. I need you to let me know when you're running late so I can adjust my schedule and do other things. I need you to understand that sometimes I must share my holidays with other family members, and I need you to stop demanding that I spend all of them with you. Each of these statements clearly defines wants and needs. But what if people are unwilling to grant our request? First, it's always good to try and resolve a troublesome situation by kindly and courteously letting someone know what matters to us. Secondly, the fact that they are unwilling to work with us today does not mean they will have the same position later. Finally, we must be prepared that, at times, others may not always agree with us or be willing to do as we've requested. It's better to try to solve through adaptive assertiveness than ignore, deny, or run away. We may not always get what we want, but we can always be appropriately assertive. And even if someone isn't willing to respond to our request just yet, there's always the option to open a dialogue about their unwillingness. Sometimes it only takes a short conversation to cause one or both parties to understand the other better and modify their positions. So today we've discussed adaptive assertiveness and noted that peacemakers are not pushovers who let people say and do whatever they want. We emphasize the importance of taking a stand and letting people know what we want and need while remaining calm and centered. Assertiveness, correctly used, is a powerful tool that peacemakers may use to arrive at mutually beneficial solutions that help resolve conflict and drama. Next lesson, we'll discuss how we channel assertiveness into advocacy. We thank you for listening to today's podcast, and we encourage you to download a copy of this program's transcript so that you might better complete a short quiz over today's presentation.